Hello, this is Brian Resney, President of Resney Wealth Management. I'm bringing you an important update about the economy and the investment market so you can understand what we see in a global landscape. Well, as you know, a week or so ago, Greece finally went to austerity measures, basically agreed with the EU so they can get more bailout money. Essentially, I think this will last a year, maybe 2 years, and Greece will be back in the limelight. As I've repeatedly discussed in my update videos and try to educate all of our TV, radio listeners, and of course our clients, is Greece is really a non-event. It's great for the headline news, it's great for the news media, but ultimately Greece economy is extremely small and really has very little impact on the world economy. But ultimately, I think Greece will be back in the limelight. Again, whether it's the next 12 months, 6 months, or 6 years, ultimately, I don't think they'll pay back their debts, and austerity measures simply won't work there. They need to grow their economy, and they just have too much massive debt. The countries that will do extremely well, in my opinion, are going to be countries like the U.S. We're primarily invested in the U.S. right now, small and mid-cap on our highest exposure rating, simply because we're seeing growth in the U.S. Not the kind of growth we truly need, but decent growth. Our GDP should be growing somewhere between 3 and 4%, but unfortunately, as I've discussed before, our politicians really are the stumbling block for the U.S. economy. We have an election coming up, of course, not too far in the distant future, and there's going to be a lot of rhetoric back and forth from both sides. What we really need in this country is non-politicians. Business people that can actually change, and consumers like you and myself that really want change and really push for change. Change is always difficult, but if you fight for it, ultimately I think the U.S. economy can grow much better, and everybody ultimately can be much richer, whether it's the poor, the middle class, or the rich. Everybody can do much better with good policy and good people within not only the White House, but in the Senate and Congress. Too many investors look at the shorter term, and I want to talk about that just a little bit today, which is what happens on a daily basis with the investment markets, whether it's the bond market, the stock market, or real estate. Bottom line, what happens today or this week has no impact on your long-term returns. Too many investors focus on the short term and they look at propaganda headlines in order to make intelligent decisions, which is ultimately going to cost you return and also increase investment risk. We're going to see volatility in any market. This is nothing different than what we've seen in the last 5, 10, 15, or 20 years. I don't think the volatility is any higher than it ever has been. And ultimately, if the economies keep growing and we do not signal a recession, I think the markets will be higher by year end. And I think the U.S. markets, the second half of the year, will outperform all other markets around the world, generally speaking. And that's why, again, we're invested mostly in the U.S. marketplace with the bulk of our client assets. I think bonds will continue to underperform this year. Year to date, they're negative across the board. Equities in the U.S., generally speaking, are net positive. We're seeing emerging markets roll over. We're looking at our long-term market trend indicators on long-term bonds are negative. That means a definite sell. Emerging markets are in that same territory. Ultimately, gold is also down. I've had a lot of questions on gold. Would you own gold? Should I own gold? No, it's relatively weak. We run a strict strategy. We make changes when appropriate. We don't listen to news rhetoric. We don't listen to politicians. Bottom line, what gives you the best chance to make a return on your money is a sound investment strategy and following investment principles that work. Take out the emotion. Emotion's going to screw your portfolio up, and I've talked about that so many times. The problem every investor faces today is news media loves to hype everything. Greece was a non-event, like I try to explain to every investor for the last year, year and a half, and I was exactly right. So if you're invested correctly, like our clients, you should be happy campers year to date. If you're not a client of our firm, give us a call, schedule a consultation. Of course, if you are a client and you have any questions about your portfolio or you'd like to talk to me or my staff, call our office as soon as possible. Make sure you have yourself a safe and profitable day.